Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the special On the Sidelines Year in Review special. I'm John Luck with Jonathan Rodriguez, and, well, typically we'd have Brad McKinnon or Dominic Damiano here, but you know what? We got the two mainstays here on the set on our, I feel like I'm in a furniture store commercial, kind of sitting here. We got the fire behind us.
It's a little cozy though, I like it.
Or I feel like I'm at a therapist's office.
It's been a little warm.
So in the spirit of the holiday season and kind of looking back at the year that was, we want to start off with the New England Patriots, because if there's a team that really needs that new year, new me, it's that team at One Patriot Place. The Patriots are a disaster. I think we can all agree on that. We go back to the spring where that coaching change happened. Obviously, Bill Belichick let go, and for the first time in over 2 decades, Belichick no longer the head coach of the New England Patriots. Bob Kraft hiring Gerard Mayo, of course, a very familiar face to Patriots fans going back to his playing days on the defense. And I feel like a lot of people kind of had some high expectations for Gerard Mayo when he first started. I don't think it was Super Bowl or bust, but I don't think people were expecting the team to have 3 wins entering, week 15 here.
Yeah, for me, I'm just a realist fan, and I very much see like what we have, like what we got, what the ingredients are in the kitchen. So for me, it's very much, I saw what the team was. I thought the defense would be what it was last year, if not roughly the same. Feels like they took a little bit of a downward spiral. There's been a lot of injuries, people in and out, but for the most part, I thought that would be like our bread and butter. As for the offense, personally think Drake May has done over and above with what he has. I can't even name a wide receiver. Like, jokingly, I can't even name a wide receiver.
They're down one now with KJ Osborne agreeing to be released.
Yeah, you hear these like receivers, they're not really big names, and then they're not really doing a bunch. Most of the work is going to the tight ends or the running back or him, Drake May himself. So I would say, and I feel like the sentiment around the league is Drake May is a star in the making. I think if we do what most teams do with their rookie quarterbacks and surround them with talent, or like just at least things that he can like work with, it's going to show like the absolute best quarterback, I think, out of that whole draft.
So I think this maybe goes back to a bigger question. You think about the quarterback class that he came in with. You have Williams with the Bears. You have Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders. And at first it seemed like Williams and Daniels were doing very well. I mean, obviously Daniels had the Commanders in the NFC East lead. Caleb Williams, at least at the start of the season, seemed like he was, kind of treading water. But, obviously with the whole Thanksgiving debacle, that took a downturn. But even Jaden Daniels, I think he's kind of taken, I don't want to say a step back, but I think maybe the length of the season is starting to catch up to him. And I think that was kind of the one big thing with the Patriots at the start of the season, because there was that quarterback controversy, if you want to call it a controversy, with Jacoby Brissett and obviously Drake May. When do you sit Jacoby Brissett? Turns out the right answer is, I believe it was week 5 or week 6. But I said at the beginning of the season, the Patriots just had to get through that first part of the season, because that was, murderer's row of football teams. You had the teams like Seattle, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Miami. At the start of the season, those teams looked like they were candidates for winning their respective divisions. Obviously, in the case of the Dolphins, it kind of went down, but still, at that point, I don't know if I would have started Drake May, and I feel like the right thing is what Gerard Mayo did, starting Drake May in the middle part of the season, kind of let him get his feet wet against teams like the Titans, the Bears. I always thought that was going to be the sweet spot for the New England Patriots, kind of having Drake May, kind of get knocked around a little bit by players on the Bears and the Titans, and not someone like Fred Warner trying to come through the A-gap, take a quarterback's head off.
Yeah. My biggest thing with like young quarterbacks, I do think it takes some time to like learn. You have the athletic quarterbacks, as you said, Jaden Daniels, where you can kind of like insert them, especially when you put them with somebody familiar. Like you have Cliff Kingsbury there, who's somebody familiar for him. You, at the end of the day, I think the young quarterbacks need some time to just like kind of process everything and process what's going on, how fast the league comes at them. And when I say that, these players are, as athletic as you, if not more, and you gotta like, the reaction time has to be there, in my opinion. So when you are out there, you just got to learn. You got to kind of be a sponge, kind of absorb everything, and then from there, you need to kind of take everything you learned and then adapt it on the fly. And that's my biggest sentiment. I think Justin Herbert's rookie season, believe he didn't start the first 4 or 5. Tyrod did, and then he got injured somehow.
Yeah, that was
and
a
then he came
malpractice
in.
issue.
Yeah, and then he came in and he looked great. Mind you, he had some pieces still there. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, I believe, still there. But you got to let the guy go and then see what you got there. And from what it seems like, we got something in Drake May. We just got to surround him, and hopefully, the draft and free agency bring us something to that offense where it's like, okay, well, we got something cooking. We got a top 15 offense and things of that nature. So.
And we'll get to that in a little bit, kind of what the Patriots are going to do from here. But just going back to the spring when the Patriots let Bill Belichick go, overall, was it the right decision letting a obviously Hall of Fame coach go at this point in where the team is?
I believe it was the right decision. It might have been a year too early, though. But you would have seen the same results with Bill Belichick this year. I think you would have had the same amount of wins. I think his expertise in just being a coach kind of gives you like 2 fluky wins here or there. But personally, I think you would have seen the same result. Gerard was kind of just in the building, known as the heir. Nobody wanted to say it. But at the end of the day, I think they kind of put him in like the crossfire for everything. But I think next year you're going to see more of a, 8 and 9 team, middle of the pack, maybe trying to get a playoff spot or not. But I do think it was the right decision. His coaching style, you could tell, was just becoming something of like an old way of like trying to coach players, and you can very visibly see the landscape of the NFL is not like that anymore.
I think this was the perfect time to let Bill go in this sense. You had a top 3 draft pick in Drake May. We've seen in the past when Bill has these relatively high draft picks, what happens? You either pick a N'Keal Harry or you go ahead and, draft further back in the first round or maybe get multiple second rounds. But in this case, the Patriots need to get a quarterback, and that happened. Now, I think the way this kind of all happened is, convoluted, because you look at kind of the process of the offseason. You have Belichick he got fired. Belichick gets canned. Elliott Wolf gets hired after Gerard Mayo is already named the head coach, when typically, in operations, you have the top guy pick his head coach, and then together they pick the quarterback. When we got to the draft, no one knew who was making the selection for Drake May. All we knew is that the Patriots needed a quarterback, but we didn't know who was making the decisions. Right now, it looks like it was Elliott Wolf, and maybe Gerard Mayo chimed in. But at this juncture of the season, from what we've kind of heard from different articles, Bob Kraft is talking to Gerard Mayo after the game about some of his decisions. Elliott Wolf, it really is nowhere to be found. To me, it just feels like the Patriots are kind of a disaster. And at this point, I'd rather them just rip the Band-Aid off than kind of kick the can down the road, because if you have Bill stick around here and you maybe draft a Drake May or a Bo Nix, you could easily be talking about a 1-win situation. The players are tuning Bill out. It was obvious to see. And I think as we enter Week 15, most of the players are still kind of tuned in with what Gerard Mayo is saying. And I think that's really interesting, because this year, the Patriots entering Week 15 have lost 5 one-score games. 5 one-score games. So you think about it, a coaching decision here, both feet in the end zone here against Miami for Jalen Polk. You're easily talking about a 5-win team and being in contention for a wild card spot. I'm impressed with where the Patriots are with Gerard Mayo. I mean, it kind of goes back to Bill Parcells. You want to be a good coach or a GM, you have to get good groceries. The Patriots right now with their players look like they're shopping at the dollar store for a Christmas dinner. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, Gerard Mayo's doing pretty good cooking.
Yeah. I would say he's not my favorite this season. You could tell he's going through a lot of like learning curves, whether it's in front of the media or just in the aspect of just learning coaching things and what to do in these scenarios and things of that nature. But for me, I do think for what this season was supposed to be, and you're learning what your quarterback has. He doesn't have a lot, but what he has internally and athletically, he's a great leader, and it seems like he's going to be the Patriots franchise quarterback going forward. So I can't really complain too much. Do I see him as like the long-term head coach? For some reason, I don't. I think the next mind that gets in there is going to be an offensive mind, but that's just my personal thought about that.
So we have a couple minutes left here in this segment. Looking at the draft order entering Week 15, the Patriots right now are slotted in the third spot, again, behind Vegas and the Giants, just ahead of Carolina, Jacksonville, Tennessee. The list goes on and on. So quickly here, how do you expect the Patriots to approach this offseason in terms of the draft and maybe a free agent that you want them to go out there and get, or maybe a position you want them to address?
Yeah, so if the draft order stays the same, I do think Vegas and the Giants will select quarterbacks. So that kind of gives us a, like, what do we want here? Could we go Travis Hunter? That's the big flashy pick. Could we go what we really needed, which is an offensive tackle with the LSU guy? It just, I don't know what's going to help at that point. I think they'll both help, but safe pick, flashy pick, safe pick, flashy pick. Kind of reminds me of that scenario a few years ago when Joe Burrow told Cincinnati, hey, I don't want the offensive lineman, give me Jamar Chase. And we see what Jamar Chase is doing this season. So,
and Jamar Chase is about to get paid.
Yep. Contract year, and he has a career year.
So I think the Patriots are going to go out there and get an offensive lineman, probably the guy from LSU, with that third overall selection. That's not a terrible pick. Travis Hunter would be awesome, and I think that would address a lot of the needs that you need for Drake May. But I think one name to look out for this offseason is DK Metcalf, wide receiver from Seattle, and I'll give you the reason here. Under contract for next season, Metcalf is, but you look at the Seahawks wide receiving core, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, you have Tyler Lockett, you have Bobo, you have Charbonnet, you have a lot of pass catchers, and it seems like to me, just what I've seen on NFL Red Zone, that DK Metcalf really hasn't been featured in that Seattle passing game. So I think that's one name to look out for as we get into the early spring.
Yeah, I would actually add two more names to that list. Obviously, everyone knows T. Higgins is on the franchise tag. I would keep my eye out for that one. And then A.J. Brown's been making a lot of noise for somebody that's on a 11-2 team, in my opinion. So that kind of concerns me from like a franchise standpoint. Like, hey, we're all winning here, and for some reason you're still complaining. And we have one of the best offenses in the league, and like, what's going on? So I could see them trying to ship him out of town. Just because of all the noise he's been making. It's not just been this year, it's also been last year. Mm-hmm. And I do know from the draft he was drafted at, he did want to become a New England Patriot. So
from 11-2 to join the suckery at Gillette Stadium, go figure. We'll take a quick break here. We'll turn our attention to the TD Garden and a team that plays there, one that actually won a championship and didn't choke in the playoffs. Talking about the Boston Celtics, and their quest for Banner 18 is mission accomplished. We talk about the C's coming up next here on the Sidelines Year in Review Special.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie nailed it.
We all of warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on, man. Let's split a ride home.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Back here on the show, and there's one team that won a championship in 2024 that plays in the New England region in the 4 major sports. That is the Boston Celtics, getting banner 18 in the Garden, defeating the Dallas Mavericks 4-1. It seems like there's not a lot to really talk about in terms of negative things for the Boston Celtics, but just interesting things. But going back to the month of June, when the Boston Celtics won their 18th championship, was that the start, perhaps, of the next Celtics dynasty?
Yeah, the Celtics don't really have anybody that's going to really contend with them. I probably have the two teams in the Eastern Conference Finals with them as either the Knicks or Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been playing better lately, and then the Knicks, I feel like they are getting, I think Brunson just got injured, but I do think they have enough pieces to make some noise. But besides that, I don't really take Cleveland too much as a threat to us. They kind of just remind me of a regular season Cinderella team. And I do think they're probably just going to be a first or second round out, in my opinion. But for me, the C's don't really, they kind of have a pretty safe road to the finals again. When you really look at it, it doesn't look like anybody in the East is even remotely ready for that team and all the firepower they have again. So,
no, I mean the Celtics are loaded. Obviously, you look at just their top 6 players: Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. With the exception of Horford and Porzingis, whose contract runs out at the end of next season, this team's pretty safe in terms of being together, being that collective unit. Now, the one thing I will caution Celtics fans on, and obviously I am a big green teamer guy here, is the Celtics always have the possibility of getting bored. We've seen that in the past where they kind of kick away 20, 25-point leads. And that's the one thing that concerns me. Now, can that happen 4 games out of 7? I don't think so. But if you're talking about anyone in the East that could challenge Boston Celtics, you talk about the Knicks, I think that's a great choice. Just kind of given that Towns in the center and Brunson kind of running things, I think they could be dangerous to New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. Now, if they're healthy, I think they'll compete with the Boston Celtics. But obviously, in the case of Jalen Brunson, health can be kind of that bugaboo for the New York Knicks. We talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. They're aging. I mean, Chris Middleton just came back from double ankle surgery, and they're going to bring him back very slowly. But will Bobby Portis want to stay around there? Will some of the smaller pieces in terms of salary cap want to stick around the Milwaukee Bucks, like a Taurean Prince or a Brook Lopez? Or could they be traded and Milwaukee maybe looks to try and do some type of rebuild? That's possible. In the West, you're always going to have the likes of a Nikola Jokic to worry about. But to me, I think some of these younger teams like Oklahoma City, Minnesota, those are the teams I think you need to contend with. But if you're talking about the Boston Celtics being challenged at the earliest in the NBA Finals, you're doing something great. And I think this could be the start of a dynasty simply from that point, that Brown, Tatum, Holiday, and White are going to be together for at least the next 4 seasons. So you have that cohesiveness that the Golden State Warriors had during that dynasty. So we celebrated Banner 18. There was a parade with 1 million people. And maybe 2, 3, 4 days later, Wick Grossbeck decided to go ahead and light off his own fireworks news in the offseason, saying that he was going to start the process to sell the majority share of the Boston Celtics. And we found out as the year went on that it was basically his father that was kind of leading the charge there and wanted to take his shares out. But as a Celtics fan, I brought this up when the news first came out. I was outside eating my lunch, having chicken nuggets. I saw the phone. I legitimately damn near choked on my chicken nuggets seeing the news that Wyc Grousbeck was selling the Boston Celtics. So this is the first time that you're on here talking about that. So overall, what's your thoughts on Wyc beginning the process to sell his share of the team?
Well, there's no better time than winning a championship and watching your team's like price just go up, because that's what happens when you win a championship. I don't remember ever seeing the Golden State Warriors like on the what's that list of like net worth of like
Forbes?
teams? Yeah, that Forbes like most expensive teams. Never ever saw them before. And when Steph Curry got into town, Klay Thompson, all of them, it started boosting that net worth of that team. And now they're one of the top 5 franchises next to like the Cowboys and everything like that. So no better time than winning a championship than to sell the team. The team's expensive though, so it's two aspects. You have to pay for that talent you have, and that, as you said, that cohesion that you have. All 4 of those players, they deserve the money they got, but it's an expensive team, and you're probably over the luxury tax. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and you're getting what you paid for though. You get attendance, you get deep runs in the playoffs, you get players dropping 50. Big plays. You are the talk of the town. So that's what you get with it. It makes sense. It makes sense in my opinion.
Listen to these numbers in 27-28 for the 4 main players I talked about: Brown, Tatum, Holiday, White. Jaylen Brown, $61.6 million. Jason Tatum, $62.8 when you round up. Drew Holiday, $37.2. Derek White, $32.6. So the one thing I think a lot of people need to kind of get in the back of their mind, not to kind of be Debbie Downer, is when you get a new owner in here, there's no way they're going to have, 12, and there's no way they're going to have almost $180 million invested just in 4 players. That's just unfathomable. I like what Wyc did. He kind of stocked up the cupboard, sold the team at its highest, and said, okay, well, I'm going to start the process to sell the team. While that happens, they'll win banners. I'll get paid in parades, so I'll hold that end of the bargain. But the next owner, here you go. Have fun with this. Like you said, you sell at the highest, and that's exactly what Wyc did. The one thing that concerned me as a Celtics fan is I don't want to see this go out to some international buyer, be it, in London or some of these other rich countries that are looking to kind of squeeze their way into the 4 major sports. I want this to kind of be a relatively local guy, even if it's just someone in America. Rob Hale has been a big name mentioned. I believe Jeff Bezos' brother actually has interest in buying the Boston Celtics. So I kind of want to see a national local guy buy the team, not someone from far away, someone that's at least in the United States that can at least be present for a lot of the team's games, because we've seen with John Henry that if you're not present with the team, everyone's idea of you as an owner kind of takes a downturn. So I think that's just something to think about as a Celtics fan going forward here.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking about when you were talking about kind of the teams that have gone up for sale. The Commanders recently did the Clippers a while ago, but fairly new, and the Phoenix Suns. And I would say, just as maybe kind of looking at the glass half empty kind of like viewpoint of things, those owners do seem like owners that have been wanting to win, or at least change the culture. And if you at least bring somebody into the Celtics that they want to win, and then they already have a nucleus of people there that, hey, they're proven winners, they've won at the highest levels, we just need you to invest in this team and invest going forward, and you're going to see your investment hopefully double, triple from that. So I would say, as just kind of seeing a silver lining, we have seen owners come in recently and be that change that the franchise needs, especially the Commanders. I've been hearing all over ESPN all season how having that new ownership group has just clearly changed the whole mindset in the building. So
So by the time people are watching this, the Boston Celtics will be between 25 and 30 games into the season. They're a top 3 team in the East. They're a favorite to win a 19th NBA championship. But overall, what are your thoughts of the Celtics just this season, the 24-25 season?
Tatum's top 3 in MVP voting, or MVP talks right now. He's also, I believe, top 5 in scoring. Steve Kerr really woke up a sleeping bear in that one. As I said, I think they have such an easy path to the NBA Finals, it's not even funny. I don't really, besides health, I don't see another team that could even make it interesting around them, like in a series with them. I think it does go back to what you said when the Warriors were winning all those games and everything like that, to the boredom aspect of things and like kind of sleepwalking to the NBA Finals, which you kind of don't want. You want the playoffs. Hopefully, sleepwalk through the regular season, but like when playoff time comes, kind of lock in and start playing in D. Start scoring like you need to score. Start running sets like you need to run sets. Like be on top of things like you need to be on top of things to win that 19th banner.
But the Boston Celtics had an easy road to banner 18. They didn't have to play anybody. That was the worst thing I ever heard in 2024. For me, like you said, boredom comes into it. But like I said at the start of the segment, how can you defeat this team 4 games out of 7 in a series? Obviously, if players are hurt, that's one thing. But if everyone's healthy and everything's on the up and up, how are you defeating this Boston Celtics team 4 out of 7 games? It's very difficult to do. I think the game against Memphis maybe was a little bit of a way to beat them in terms of just hoping someone is off, like a Drew Holiday, and you're going to hope that he tries to shoot himself out of the funk and he can't hit the 3. So that's one thing to think about. The last few games from when we're recording this, the Boston Celtics against Memphis attempted 105 field goal attempts. Of those 105 field goal attempts, 60 of them were from 3, and only 30% of them fell. They lost that game by 6. Against the Bucks the night before, they attempted 87 field goals. Out of those 87, 53 were from the three-point line. They won that game 111-105, and similar against the Detroit Pistons. But the one thing I think that the Celtics really need to work on in the upcoming calendar year, coming from me, so, take that for what you want, is work on the inside game. The threes are a way to win basketball games. Playing defense is a way to win basketball games. But playing the game inside the paint is a big part of the Celtics game. With the likes of a Jaylen Brown who's growing more and more physical, Kristaps Porzingis, the more healthy he gets, that's important. Same with Al Horford. You need to get that paint game going. And the Boston Celtics are 29th in the NBA at 30 teams, averaging 40 points a game in the paint. I will add that there's one stretch to look out for here in the final minute or so of the segment. Look out for that first week of January, road trip here. January 2nd at Minnesota, January 3rd at Houston, January 5th at OKC, and January 7th at Denver. You want to know where the Celtics are in terms of the cream of the crop of the NBA? Look out that first week of 2025. We'll take a quick break here. The Boston Red Sox made some big news actually on the day we're recording this. We'll discuss that and more coming up after this.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Funny! Sorry, I almost killed you. Involvement misunderstood. I'm not a fighter.
I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Best plan ever!
With the right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
As a parent, There are no perfect answers, but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
I will say, doing this show, kind of that one unlucky thing about doing this show is we record it once a week or once every other week, and we kind of don't have news break right before we start. But lo and behold, the year in review, we actually have some breaking news when we're recording. The Boston Red Sox acquiring Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox in exchange for Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, Wikelman Gonzalez, and Chase Meadrith. Now, out of those prospects, according to a lot of prospect websites for the Red Sox, 3 of them are top 10 prospects, and all 4 of them are top 20 prospects. I feel like there were going to be pitchforks around Fenway Park given the news of the week around baseball if the Red Sox didn't do something. But this is awesome news for Red Sox fans, the fact that they actually went out there, put it all on the table, and actually got something back and got something to happen.
Yeah. They needed pitching very badly, and it looks like they'll have their opening day starter right there, especially when you hear the day before that the Yankees sign Max Fried to that big contract. So you kind of miss out on Juan Soto, you miss out on him. You need pitching, and you have him under contract up until the 2026 season. So, and for, I believe I saw $3 million a year, which is pretty good in my book. Now it's just, we did that. We also got Chapman. What else are we doing? What are we doing to? We were in the middle of the pack last year. What are we going to do to kind of break through that?
Before we recorded this, I was going to go off on John Henry and the Boston Red Sox. You look at the money that was spent just during the owners' meetings here. Willie Adames, 7 years, $182. Luis Severino, 3 years, $67 million with Las Vegas A's. Tyler O'Neill, even the former now Red Sox outfielder, signed with Baltimore, 3 years, $49.5. You have Max Fried, who you talked about, 8 years, $218. Nathan Eovaldi, 3 years, $75. Then, of course, the New York Mets just breaking all sorts of bank accounts, signing Juan Soto to a 15-year contract, and it's worth $765,800,000 with escalators there. But the Red Sox move up until today when we're recording this was Aroldis Chapman for 1 year, $10.75 million, and all the off-field baggage that came with him. So I was going to go off on the Boston Red Sox, but I give Craig Breslow a lot of credit here for going out there and paying a good amount of prospects for a great pitcher like Garrett Crochet, who, you look at the numbers last year, was 6-12 with the White Sox, so the White Sox suck, make of that record what you will. But still, 146 innings, 209 strikeouts, 33 walks. So I think that's a big thing there. He's someone that likes to pound that strike zone, which is what the Red Sox need. Someone that can save some bullpen innings when you get to the summertime, like a July or August, and your bullpen's getting taxed. You need someone that can go out there. Now, I mentioned the 146 innings. A lot of that is because for the White Sox in August and September, he was on an innings limit and a pitch count. So I'm interested to see what he looks like this season for the Red Sox with the proverbial reins taken off. In terms of what the Red Sox gave up here, Kyle Teal this past season, 288 average, 13 homers, 78 RBI, and 116 strikeouts. So he's probably the biggest name, I think, in this trade. Braden Montgomery was just drafted this year, so not a lot of stats on him. Chase Meadrith, I want to say his name is, the number 8 prospect, a 293 average, 7 homers, and 57 RBI. You go back to when the Red Sox traded for Chris Sale, they had to give up a good amount of prospects, but what happened with those prospects? Really nothing. I think they got a closer out of the deal, basically, but that's about it. Sometimes you have to go out there and trade some of your top guys for a great pitcher. And I give Breslow and Henry a lot of credit for pulling the trigger on this one.
Yeah, you got to spend sometimes. Not everybody's going to be, as we've seen multiple times, not everybody becomes like you trade a bunch of first-round draft picks, and not everybody becomes what their draft pick kind of values them at. So giving up all these prospects for kind of like a surefire pitcher at the moment, it brings me ease at least, because you're going to go with the mystery or you're going to go with the sure prospect at that point. I'd rather go with the sure prospect. If it kicks us in the butt one day and this guy is MVP, then let it kick us in the butt down the line. But right now, I think this is what will show fans, hey, we're trying to compete. We want to compete. This is a move that shows, hey, we're there.
And fan support's really dwindled. I saw online that the Red Sox, when they have their winter weekend, it isn't going to be at MGM in Springfield. They're going to have it in their really small MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park, and it's one day, and tickets that used to be relatively cheap, $85 for general admission. So if the Red Sox didn't pull this off, I would have bought a ticket just to see what that would have looked like there. But really impressed there. Let's get back to kind of the questions I kind of had already planned before this segment here. Did the 2024 team exceed, meet, or miss your expectations for the Red Sox in 2024?
I would say they exceeded it. I didn't expect much from them. I expected last place, to be honest, before the season started. And then that big winning streak we went on and what Duran was doing, it kind of showed me, okay, maybe we got something here. Maybe we got the wheels rolling. Let's see what we can do. The end of the season was the end of the season, but in my opinion, I liked how we went into this season, and I like what we did this season. It showed that we had a group of guys out there that really wanted to compete, and they blew past my expectations. I expected last place. I didn't expect them to go after Juan Soto, which was, even if we didn't finish top two with whoever got him or anything like that, at least we tried to get him. Watching him get that astronomical number makes me not so happy that I never learned how to play baseball.
Well, I'll make you kind of feel better with this one. The Red Sox were never going to get Juan Soto. This was just Scott Boras kind of throwing out that other person, well, if you don't pay more, he could go here. They're offering more money. And then Steve Cohen going, $765, sold. So the Red Sox, in my mind, actually exceeded my expectations. Before the year, we actually played over-under, and I think I put the Red Sox win total at 75.5, and I went under. So obviously they finished the season 500. They were actually in contention for a playoff spot entering the month of September. The one thing that killed them is what maybe saved them with this Garrett Crochet news is the fact that their bullpen was just taxed. It got to the point where Justin Slayton was kind of that go-to guy for Alex Cora in the month of September. And if Justin Slayton is your go-to guy, something is really wrong. Injuries just got the better of the Red Sox. They were kind of playing with the lame duck manager in the first half of the season before Cora actually signed that extension during the West Coast road trip. But the Red Sox just couldn't dodge those long losing streaks. You go back to after the All-Star break, the series against the Dodgers, losing, I believe it was 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. Those long losing streaks killed the Red Sox in the standings, and Detroit randomly catching fire was huge. But going into 2025, with this starting rotation, if everyone's healthy, I'm feeling pretty good about the Red Sox chances to at least compete in the AL East and give the Yankees a run for their money and not make September games irrelevant. The rotation right now, Lucas Giolito, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck, and Garrett Crochet. Those 5 guys, if healthy, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Not to mention Nick Pivetta, if he re-signs with the Red Sox for a really astronomically high number, that could be something to look at as well. So quickly here, with the offseason still having about 2 or 3 months here before opening day, anywhere you want the Red Sox to look in terms of a position, kind of like with the Patriots?
Um,
Because I think starting pitching, I think getting one more starting pitcher.
That's what I was about to say.
And kind of making him that Nick Pivetta guy that can go back and forth, I think that would be huge.
Yeah. I think pitching needs to be, even after this move, still on the front of your mind. It needs to still be the important thing for this offseason. I don't know who else is available, but yeah, pitching would be my biggest thing.
I think Wade Miley could be an interesting name to look at if you're bringing back familiar faces, kind of like with what you did with Rich Hill, taking him off the Little League baseball field. Go after Wade Miley, familiar face to Fenway Park. We'll take a quick break here. We'll end things with our Boston sports recap by discussing the Boston Bruins. And this is going to be fun. Too bad Brad's not here to back his team up. We have more after the break.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Well, now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well...
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Kind of like with the Bruins coaching staff, better late than never to make roster changes, and we actually made a roster change of ourselves. It's like Beetlejuice. I say your name and you appear.
What can I say? I mean, I was just going to make a joke about how, just like the Bruins, I showed up late, and then, of course, you got to beat me to it. But, yeah, the Bruins this year aren't doing what we all expected. I mean, Elias Lindholm and Sidorov. Sidorov's great, but he can't stay out of the penalty box, and, I mean, he makes a lot of turnovers, especially last night in the 8-1 whooping we had on us. He a few turnovers that led to goals, just like our boy Pasta, who's not really showing up offensively and all that. But it's still early, and we're still in a playoff spot. And as we know, we got a new coach. It kind of set a little fire under them because they went on a little streak. But we'll see what happens. It's still early, but like I said, we'll talk about Swayman. I'll let you start that. But Elias Lindholm and Sidorov, the 2 new guys, need to be better, especially Elias Lindholm. Sidorov's doing all right, but like I said, he's staying in the box a lot, and Elias Lindholm really needs to get more than, 3 goals, however long he's been in there.
By the way, Brad McKinnon here, in case this is your first time watching the show. Brad McKinnon's Beetlejuice. But like you said, there was a big coaching change. Obviously, Joe Sacco taking over for Jim Montgomery. And I think it was one of those situations with Montgomery. I'm kind of surprised this didn't happen earlier, be it a long-term extension or at least pulling the plug and just ending things and just firing him right off the bat. But it was kind of weird, and I'm not a Bruins fan, but it just felt kind of clunky seeing Jim Montgomery behind the bench this season for the first few games. It kind of seemed like the players and him were on 2 separate sides, and there was no way this was going to last the entire season.
I mean, it's definitely seemed like that with the coach, the management too, because they were in contract talks and never finalized anything. And I mean, good luck to him. I liked him. He wasn't the worst, but as you said, there were rumors that not everyone was for him, just like Bruce Cassidy back then. But I mean, I think they're both great coaches, and I do wish them success where they are. Besides, maybe not for the Blues. Vegas was cool, newer team, not really beating us in the cup or anything, but maybe Jim Montgomery can do horrible, actually. He's a Blues coach. Let's be honest there.
I'll put your mind at ease. If Jim Montgomery can last into the Western Conference Final, he did better than he did with the Bruins. After another early playoff exit, guys, can we say that this team with the core of players, Swayman, Marchand, Pasternak, even McAvoy, have they hit their peak in terms of success in the postseason? Are they just as good as a second-round appearance?
Yeah, I would say sometimes you got to blow things up, even if you are successful in the postseason or regular season. You just got to blow things up because it's just you're not going to get over that hump. And I've seen it in basketball, football, whatever the case may be. the fans complain about it. They're like, oh, we were right there. We were right in the second round. We went down to 7 games. But you aren't going to get over that hump with this team, and it's very evident you aren't from all the postseason stuff. So sometimes you just got to blow it up, rebuild, and come back.
So there's rumors that Crosby wants to disappear, and if he leaves Pittsburgh, Malkin would go too. That could be something interesting the Bruins could look at. Huh? We need a first. Come on, 1 year with Crosby.
The Bruins
Malkin.
can barely afford a thing of double bubble tape.
Yeah, drop
much
off
less
Elias
of getting
Lindholm.
Malkin.
I don't think his contract's that much compared to Lindholm. But anyways, you just talked about the core 4. You just said McAvoy, Pasta, Marchand, and Swayman.
Yep.
You gonna count the first year we lost to Florida on Swayman, playing 1 game, and he let up 1 weak goal that lost that whole series? You're gonna put that all on him? Because it was the other goalie who started the first 6 games. And then last year, when Swayman did start, he beat Toronto, which was the better team, and they are yet again. And we got to 6 versus Florida, which in two years in a row probably should have won the Cup, in my opinion. And I hate to say it because they're the team that beat us both years, but I do think Florida probably should have went back-to-back. But obviously, people didn't show up, blah, 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 blah. Swayman needs to mature a lot more, as we're realizing, especially with all the drama that just happened with the trade deadline and all that. And, I mean, last night was an 8-1 loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Jeff came in here a few minutes ago, the main guy at BTV, talking about how they left him in there for that reason. And I think he really did make sense when he said that, because when you want to act like a prima donna, how you did, and then you start letting up all those goals, and some of them you don't even know how they got past a top 20 goalie. You know, we all had talks about he could be in the top 5. I know I did, at least. Some people would even argue top 3, but this year he's not showing up, and the defense in front of him didn't change that much. It really didn't. We got bigger, if anything, and that should be an advantage.
And, I mean, that was just the third shellacking. That was kind of the thing we were joking about earlier. There was an 8-1 loss earlier in the season, a 7-2 loss as well. So it's just kind of those one-sided...
One of them was the Panthers, the first game of the year, versus Corpusalo, who had no idea what was going on with our defense at all. Corpusalo, honestly, too, I was wrong. I was wrong about him, and I was wrong about Elias and Zadorov. Everyone we talked about, I was wrong, because Corpusalo is doing good. He is. He has some crazy good saves, and I mean, his record's a lot better. His stats are a lot better than Swayman right now.
So I'll end with this here in about 2 minutes or less. How much of the early season difficulties, if we want to call it that, is on the whole Swayman Bruins contract situation? Because I think some of it early on was on that, but now that we're so far into the season, I think now it just comes down to almost an effort thing. So I'll start off with you, Jonathan, just in terms of the Swayman Bruins stalemate maybe playing a hand in where the Bruins are right now record-wise.
Yeah, as I said when we were discussing this weeks ago, I thought distractions during the offseason are always a way to know, especially if you want to gamble, which team has the most distractions. Oh, it's the Niners. Oh, it's the Bruins. I'll bet the under on that. Because every single time, that's what happens. Those distractions come in, and then the team starts like letting little whispers come in, rumors come in, whether it be coaching, whether it be the player contractual talkings with the franchise and them. It's something, and it's always a distraction, and it's always going to hinder the team and the success that is happening. So just my 2 cents about it.
I agree with most of that. I mean, it 100% was a problem at the beginning of the season. I mean, your $8 to $5 million goalie didn't even start game 1, you know, and it was versus Florida, who you should say, hey, I want to start that, but of course I wasn't there for training camp, anything like that, so I don't deserve it. But there's a lot of distractions on the team right now, for sure. I mean, we went from that to the coaching, and now it's what's going on with Marchand's future, all this with the core, like you've brought up, what's going on with Swayman. Adversity is a big thing in hockey, and the Bruins, they usually do it a lot of times at the wrong time, but they can get very hot all of a sudden with just Marchand or Pasta clicking with at least one other person, you know. So, like I said, we're still in a playoff spot. I don't think this is a year we could win a cup, but I'm never going to say it's not. you know, as long as we're making it to the playoffs, because anything can. Montreal Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup in the bubble era, right? So anything
we don't talk
can
about
happen.
that here. It's like Bruno. We don't talk about it. So, Brad, you've been on the show since day one, back in early April. What's the number one thing I enjoy to do with you and Dom when we had both of you here?
Spelling bees.
Spelling bees, you know, ranking, games, right?
Yeah.
So I decided, why not end the year?
Why'd I show
End the
up?
year with one big final shebang. So I'm going to have the camera follow me, thanks to our camera guy and director, Al Lacerda, who's done great work here all year long.
You're in
And
trouble.
so I want to start off with this. The Bridgewater Garden Club actually had a green sale that raised money for scholarships, and they had dozens of different holiday decorations and wreaths that were made. But there were a few that were left behind, and they said, you know what, John, BTV, you know, figure something out, give these wreaths away. I said, hold on, we got one more surprise here in 2024.
Oh, jeez.
Welcome to the wreath wall.
What's going on?
So, what we have here are 4 very nice wreaths. I want to make sure they're in the shot here. And what I thought I would do for my fine friends here, Jonathan and Brad, is we'd have a little memory competition. So for you, the viewer, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you some of the best moments of the year on the sidelines, our games, our rants, our meltdowns. While we're doing that, we're going to give these 2 minutes to look at the wreaths, figure out the different things on the wreaths, and we'll see how good that memory is coming up in just a minute. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the debut episode of On the Sidelines. I'm John Luck with Brad McKinnon and Dominic Damiano and Dollar Store Ted DiBiase. What do we got going on over here?
No lint on this jacket, baby.
No. You hit the dry cleaners before you came here.
I wish I was drinking what they were drinking. Then God forbid, you might have been smoking something.
Let's have a little one-on-one conversation here, me and the Boston Celtics. Don't put Luke Kornet in to replace Al Horford in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't care if he barks like a dog at the bench. He plays like a poodle. If you're trusting your life in the hands of Indiana Henry, you know, navigating you down the concrete stairwell, if you're at Fenway Park and you're hearing a crash over your head, take that as a sign. Get out. The Celtics are 18-time champions, defeating the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games. So I'm going to actually celebrate this one the right way.
True.
Get ready for a fun show. And we actually have company this week.
Yes, sir.
One of our interns here for BTV, Jonathan Rodriguez, kind enough to sit in the spot that used to be held by Dom, but no suit jacket, no classes. But nonetheless, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Does John Henry not have the balls to show up in front of these fans and, you know, take the punishment? No, he's going to continue to just sit up in his luxury suite or in his plane, racking up money, so people will buy his stupid championship hats like this. I mean, you know, the team sucks anyways, so I was trying to come up with a Taylor Swift pun, but I couldn't, so I'll just take Kansas City and say they're going to win
got
by
bad
more than
blood.
8.
All right.
Yep, or, you know, there could be a blank space in your fantasy lineup. Fill that with
Travis Kelce.
Yep.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
If you've watched the show, I do like my games. I like making these 2, play the games. It's song or nay. Is it a song? Is it a horse? Know your socks.
Oh boy.
Know your all-stars. List this. Next up, Fearless.
That's gotta be. Is there an answer to say both?
And we have one more game before we go.
Okay.
Would you eat it? Rainbow cookie egg roll. Just from the name of it, would you eat it?
I love sweets. I'd say yes.
I
would
love
say
sweets
yes,
too.
yes.
Rainbow cookies are my favorite cookies.
The Warehouse Dog at Oriole Park in Camden Yards, a foot-long hot dog with horseradish infused brick sauce. Don't know what that is.
I might take a bite. I don't know if I want that whole hot dog.
Thanks for having us.
And we thank you for watching this episode of On the Sidelines. We'll talk to you next week, same time, same place.
Don't I get a prize?
I got some Bruins tickets for you.
There you go. So I almost wonder, did you actually win any of the competitions, or was it like an 0 for performance?
Me?
Yeah.
I at least won one.
I think
I beat Dom for sure.
Yep, you won Listum. So again, our thanks to the Bridgewater Garden Club for letting us use their wreaths, and we'll have another sale coming up in the spring, and they'll be right back here the first Saturday in December, making more holiday wreaths, and who knows, we could have more things to try and throw you guys off with by the time we get to 2025. So thanks for playing along, and
Time to play the game.
Time to play the game. So let's go ahead, get my questions out. So these are true and false questions, so I gave you a 50-50 shot, and we'll see how this goes. I can already put my money on this one. I think the money line is Jonathan at like minus 900 or something.
Hold up, I got some money.
I've never been that much of a heavy favorite before.
No pressure. You said it's finals week, right?
Yeah.
All right, so first one. The tassels on the candy cane ribbon wreath were silver. So we'll go ahead and have you hold up your choices to the camera. You might have to tell us. Brad,
one?
you say true. Jonathan says false, and Jonathan takes a 1-0 lead. They were red. Next up, the round ornaments on the reindeer wreath were silver and red. Brad says true.
You're not supposed to say what I say till you pick.
Jonathan says false, and that's a 2-0 game lead for Jonathan Rodriguez. They were red and gold. The presents wreath had gold polka dots on its ribbon.
You told us not to worry about the name.
Huh?
You told us not to worry about the name.
I told you the wreath names were just kind of reference things. So
Repeat that one more time.
The presents wreath had gold polka dots on its ribbon. The polka dots were gold.
This is going to be the first true.
Man, this is a clean sweep here. 3-0.
Oh, Jesus. I said it was going to be the true one, too.
And finally, there was a ribbon with gingerbread men on the pink ornament wreath.
I'm taking this one serious, right?
I can tell. Right? We got the fire going. I can smell the smoke. There was a ribbon with gingerbread men on the pink ornament wreath. And Jonathan gets the win 4-1. The answer is false, so not bad. You avoided the shutout. And then just a quick fun one here. On that candy cane ribbon wreath, how many silver balls were there? This one doesn't reflect the game, just kind of having fun here, round out the holiday season.
That was the one with 2 different colors, I think, right? What color?
On the candy cane ribbon wreath, how many silver balls were on the wreath?
Say 5.
I was going to say 6.
18.
What? They're all the same color then.
How many silver balls were on the wreath? Yeah. Well, thanks for playing along. Good way to end the year. And
when am I going to get to go up against you in a competition?
if you come up with a game,
Listen, I came up with the Russian hockey player game, and you wanted nothing to do with it.
Reasons. You know what? If you come up with a game that's TV appropriate in 2025, we'll play along. Just start thinking of ways to throw me under the bus. Not very hard to do. I'm hard to miss. Thanks for watching, not just this episode, but all year long. Can't wait to do it again in 2025, where hopefully we talk about more championships, have big stories to discuss with you, the viewer, and we'll see you coming up next year.